Good morning, everybody. Calm Biker here. Just going out for a ride with Graham, who's behind me somewhere. There he is. Just going out for a ride with Graham. It is going to be my last ride as a 40-something. I'm half a century old tomorrow. Can't believe it. Can't believe how quickly it's come around. My childhood days, my teenage days and my 20s all seem to go on forever. My 30s, which I'm reliably informed there are 10 of, 10 years worth, seem to last about 4 years. My 40s, again reliably informed that there are 10 years of those, but I don't recall them. I must have drunk a lot of something, but they seem to have lasted about a fortnight. So presumably it'll be my 50th birthday in 2 weeks' time, my 60th in 3 weeks, and I'll be pushing up daisies by Christmas. Christmas is actually 3 weeks and 2 days away. That's come round quick again as well. Some people around us haven't even taken the decorations down from last year. We're heading off first to get some petrol. Going quite a long way to get it, to be fair, but it's kind of on the way, and when you're on a bike everything's kind of on the way, isn't it? Because it doesn't really matter if you go the long way, it's fun. But I was saying to Graham, I've got to go to Driffield or near Seaways to get petrol today, but we don't really want to pass Seaways for where we're going. So, but weirdly, and I fear we are being fleeced, because I saw petrol for sale yesterday at £1.66.9. Let's call it £1.67. I always round the 0.9 up. So £1.67 a litre. That's a lot of money. And then I saw it again and again and again, and it seemed to be that everywhere was in that kind of mid to high £1.60s range. And yet Driffield £1.49 after you round up. So weirdly I get an extra bit of ride, which is fun, probably for free, because this thing's nearly empty. In fact, it's just started flashing at me. It told me I've got 39 miles of range left, and if I believe that, I'll believe anything. There's no way, no way once it starts flashing I'm going to risk 39 miles on it. But when I fill it up, 17 litre tank, at 18p a litre difference between Driffield and everywhere else, well, that's a fair whack, isn't it? I probably should have worked it out beforehand. But it's a fair whack. It's a few quid. I do wonder if we are being fleeced. I mean, it feels like we had the problem where a petrol station said that it was running out of fuel, or a few in an area said they were running out of fuel, and it became a news story. Now, call me a cynic, but making it a news story is what drove a run on that petrol, and then those petrol stations ran out, which got people even more panicked when that got on the news. And then all over the country people started buying petrol like mad, filling the cars up, and all over the country we started running out of fuel in petrol stations. We don't run out of fuel in reality. The petrol companies didn't have a shortage, they just couldn't get it to the petrol stations quick enough, and people see that bit of news and start panicking. And I remember that excess demand, it's kind of standard supply and demand economics, isn't it? That excess demand pushed up the price of petrol at the forecourt by about 20p, and then that never really seemed to come back down again. And then the Ukraine invasion happened, and that pushed the price up again. And the prices of oil have come down quite a bit, but the price again, well, it has clearly, because it was £1.90 odd, but it does seem that it stayed high when it doesn't need to, and my proof is Driffield with its £1.49. The supermarkets now seem to be the most expensive place to buy petrol, which is quite unheard of. You know, it's normally the big names, and especially the petrol stations that are not in big towns, where there's not a lot of competition and they're quite out of the way, so I guess the delivery costs are probably higher. Those tend to be the higher cost ones, or have been historically, but right now feels like it's the other way around. And if the OBR are to be believed, the Office for Budget Responsibility, who've looked at the supposedly mini budget that Jeremy Hunt had, he's our, for those outside the country who don't know, he's our Chancellor of the Exchequer, the finance person in government this week. We've had quite a few of them recently. But if the OBR are to be believed after his budget, the government is going to stick some extra tax on petrol next year. Another 12p per litre potentially. I wonder if the supermarkets are putting the price up or keeping the price high, or more accurately, because the price of everything else is going up and it's a way of offsetting the price of the food. I don't know. Certainly an expensive place to live at the minute. So maybe it'll get more people on motorbikes, because as long as you don't buy one of these, you can get a lot more value for your pound. I do wonder about the idea of getting a little bike just for commuting around on. It'd be quite interesting to get one of these little Hondas or something that do, you know, 100 miles to the gallon or more. And I wonder if it'd still be just as fun, because bikes are just fun, aren't they? Even the little ones. When I had my 125, I used to ride all over the place. I only had it a few months before I passed my test and got my 600, but I did put a few thousand miles on it in that time. I didn't go that far. I think, yeah, probably the furthest away I went was probably 80 or 90 miles. But every ride was an adventure at that point, because to get that far took so long. It would do 60 miles an hour well enough, but I was very new to riding. Yeah, I'd only been riding when I got it for what, about 5 hours. So I wasn't anywhere near as quick as I could have been on it. But also it took you a long time to get to 60 miles an hour. So every time you came across a bend, it was a tight one. It would take you a while to get back up to speed. But every morning you see, you know, queue of car after car after car, all sat there going nowhere, engines running, burning fuel. Probably go 3 times as far on a little motorbike for the same amount of fuel, and you wouldn't have to sit in the queue neither. Something like that little thing there. Be alright, wouldn't it? And if the queue's got really bad, you could hop off the road on that thing. Though my off-road career has been short and painful, so maybe not. The government keeps telling us, so this is a question for the non-UK viewer. I think there's one of you. Is it the same the world over? The government keeps telling us, oh, it's an international problem, same the world over. Is it? Is everyone getting this level of inflation? Say we're at 11% at the moment, expected it could rise a little bit further. Interest rates on mortgages are going up, so people can't afford the food and a place to live. As we all know, we've got nurses going to food banks because they can't afford to feed the families. They're actually setting up food banks in hospitals in this country, can you believe it? We're supposed to be the 6th biggest economy in the world, but we have, I think we have quite an impressive amount of inequality. Not quite America level, but we do have it where bosses of companies are making hundreds of times as much money as the people at the bottom of the company. And we do have it where as I say, they're setting up food banks in hospitals so that the nurses can eat. I say we're supposed to be the 6th biggest economy in the world. We were the 5th biggest. We've just been overtaken by India. I think somewhat self-inflicted. It's our economy shrinking, I think, rather than theirs growing. You might have noticed that there may not have been an intro as such on the beginning of this video. I've swapped out my software and I'm using it. I could recreate all my intros and whatnot in the new software, or just carry on using the old intros, but I think I'm going to try something a little bit new. I think I'm going to simplify, completely change my software, gone away from the movie studio that I've used for years, mainly because I've gone away from Microsoft Windows as well. I don't like the way Windows is going. I don't like the way they're trying to force you to give up all of your information, and I don't like the way that I've got quite an expensive, fairly modern laptop, and they're even restricting me from running Windows on it because it hasn't got one module. But I can also see the way that Windows is going, so it's gone. So all of my software has changed, which might mean a few little changes to my videos. Anyway, I'll shut up now. We're nearly at the petrol station. Here's Graham. Hello. So thanks for watching, everyone. Ride safe, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Look at that, £1.48.9. I think these people are queuing because it's the best part of 20p cheaper than everywhere else.